Hello everyone, welcome to the LoginRadius dashboard demo. In this video, we are going to take you through all the feature sets of the LoginRadius Admin Console at a high level. So let's begin. LoginRadius is a SaaS-based CIM platform that manages the customer identity and privacy, allowing businesses to provide a secure and a seamless digital experience to their users. On the screen, we have the LoginRadius Admin Console. Our engineers have made sure that the platform is easily configurable by your team and have placed all the tabs intuitively to mimic the implementation lifecycle from left to right. Now let's go through each and every tab, starting with the dashboard. The console's dashboard gives you a 360-degree view of your user's level of interaction with your organization at a quick glance. We can view login activity of the users by hovering over the dates, customer growth on a whole, and also the number of new profiles added. Developers and platform admins can make use of the implementation guides to understand the various platform feature sets. We can also see the recent product updates right from the dashboard itself. Next is platform configuration. Under this tab, you can set up your identity and authentication workflows for the end user along with grouping of multiple sites under SSO. This section is divided into three groups: identity workflow, authentication configuration, and access configuration. Let me explain what each section does in detail. In this identity workflow section, we can configure the various authentication workflows that you would like your users to go through. Under this comes the authentication workflow, where we enable the desired workflow, which include email, phone, social registration, and other advanced registration workflows like passwordless login, etc. You can also configure a few advanced workflows which include case-sensitive username, accepting requests over secure HTTPS channels, etc. Next comes the verification workflow. Here, we can enable the verification workflows like email verification or social verification, where the users will have to go through this verification flow prior logging into the website. Then comes the communication workflow. In this, we can configure the different communication touchpoints like email server, SMS gateway, which is used for communicating all the relevant messages to your end users. You can also configure the email request limit for your end users and configure the request disable period along with the email token validity. In the same way, we can configure the OTP length, type, request limit along with the token validity for the SMS communications. Now let's move on to the authentication configurations. The LoginRadius Identity platform supports the following authentication types: email, phone, and social authentications. LoginRadius also has some advanced authentication mechanisms like passwordless login, smart login features. Now let's look into the standard login. In this screen, you can configure various registration forms and define various fields. First is the basic standard fields. These are the most commonly used fields for registration forms. We have provided around 30 predefined basic fields which are commonly used as per the industry standard. Next are the advanced fields. Here we have provided around 7 advanced predefined fields and which are complex fields provided for registration forms and can be enabled by simply clicking on them. Custom fields are the fields that you can create for your own specific needs and use on the registration forms. Furthermore, we can also manage these fields at a granular level, like renaming them as per your business needs and also making them either mandatory or optional for your users. We can also configure the field type and add any validation rules needed for these fields. LoginRadius provides the registration data source feature to store large datasets of key value pairs in the separate database in the LoginRadius end. Under the email templates, you can fully customize all email templates which are used for the communication purposes like welcome email, verification email, password email, etc. Moving on to the access configuration section, this is the place where we group all your different sites under SSO. This will give your users a seamless experience when they move from one site of your to another site without having to enter the password. You can also leverage the external identity apps held by the partners using the industry standard single sign-on protocols, allowing your users to seamlessly authenticate between these apps. LoginRadius supports all the major protocols such as SAML, Jailability, OAuth2, and OpenID Connect. If not standard protocols, you can also configure other custom SSO connectors. LoginRadius supports Shopify, BigCommerce, and perfect mind with this feature. The LoginRadius Delegation APIs covers two system flows that allow you to delegate either the full authentication via the Delegation Authentication APIs or just delegate the password management via the Password Delegation API. Password delegation allows you to use a third-party service to store your password rather than LoginRadius Cloud Directory. The roles and membership configurations allow you to manage the roles and permissions for your customer base. This is very helpful for scenarios such as tiered premium versus free members where they can get access to different sites and functions. Now that we understand how to configure the initial authentication and verification workflows, we shall now know how to configure the security features under this section. We can see that this tab has three different sections: account protection, multi-layered security, and data access protection. Under the account protection section, we can configure an additional layer of security for your end users to secure their identities. Under CAPTCHA settings, you can add an additional layer of security by configuring your own CAPTCHA, which requires confirmation with a checkbox by the user verifying that it's not a bot. LoginRadius supports Google and QQ10 CAPTCHA configurations. Then comes the access restriction section, where you can control the access or registration to your LoginRadius site based on your customers' email addresses. This can be configured by whitelisting specific email addresses and domains, while the blacklisting prevents access to customers whose email addresses are added to the blacklist or groups whose domains have been added. Brute force lockout allows you to restrict account access based on the failed login attempts. Once the limit of the failed login attempts is reached, the user will either be blocked or prompted to complete an additional security step to the login. You can configure this threshold limit, lockout type, and also the time for which the account is suspended. As part of the security best practices, you can configure different password policies. LoginRadius helps automate this process by changing the passwords periodically by different methods, such as prompting your users to reset the passwords periodically. Here, you can also define how often you want your users to change their password with respect to the duration and count as well. Next comes the LoginRadius, which maintains a password history. This means that the customer cannot use their historical passwords when creating a new password. Moving on to the password complexity, here we can configure the password complexity by defining certain validations. You can enable this option to prevent end users from setting the common passwords. LoginRadius also maintains the list of these common passwords. Enabling this option will prevent end users from setting up the password listed in the password dictionary. It is a dynamic password dictionary which gets updated from time to time. You can also restrict end users by using their profile data for the account password. Example, email ID cannot be used for an account password. Moving on to the session management. This is the place where you can see the access token lifetime currently set for your site. The access token lifetime is the amount of time a customer is logged into your website. When the access token expires, the customer will be prompted to log back again. Adding an additional layer of security, you can enforce a force logout feature, which will expire all the active sessions of the customer when they reset or change their password. You can further customize your login form by configuring the Remember Me option. Enabling this will display a Remember Me checkbox on your login page, and the user will receive a Remember Me token that will allow them to remain logged even after closing the browser until the access token expires. Moving on to the multi-layered security, here we can configure security questions to your registration and login services, which can be triggered to verify a customer's identities upon different events, such as reset password requests and login via unfamiliar devices. As part of having an extra layer of security to your website, you can enable multi-factor authentication, wherein your customers will be prompted or required to pass through the multiple authentication events in order to log in. LoginRadius supports three different MFAs. First would be SMS-based MFA, which is commonly used, and Google Authenticator as well. Next is PIN-based authentication, where we can set a PIN in addition to the password during the registration or login. For subsequent authentications or re-authentications, the application requires the same PIN in addition to the password. Users can also request PIN while performing the particular actions in the application. Moving on to the data access protection section, under this we have API credentials tab where you can find the API key and the secret. Using this platform, administrators and developers can access to the LoginRadius API. Platform users can also add additional API secrets for your LoginRadius site, which will allow or limit the grant of access to the certain aspects of areas to the site while maintaining the overall security. The read-only API version section displays the API version that you are using. Next is data governance. This is mostly a read-only section which gives you an overview of how things are set up in terms of data security. Under the data storage, we can find the section Data Center, which displays all data storage locations that are supported by LoginRadius and the specific location where your user data is stored. You can also request for the change of location if needed from the screen. Under the data fields section, we can see that there are three tabs, that is standard data fields, which displays all the customer data fields that are stored by LoginRadius cloud storage for your website or mobile app. And these fields correspond to your data configuration in the standard login. Custom data fields are the same as standard data fields, except these are for the custom fields that have been created which corresponds to your configuration in the standard login. If LoginRadius has provisioned any custom data objects for your site, you will be able to view here. Custom objects are complex, schemaless data sets attached to a specific account. Moving on to the data security, this talks about data encryption and the different types of hashing algorithms LoginRadius supports. The hashing algorithm section displays all the password encryption values that are stored by LoginRadius cloud storage for your website or mobile app. And you can also request for the change if needed. We have end-to-end data encryption in the data transit stage. And in this diagram, you can see the HTTPS tunnel transit and the SSL ciphers we support. Encryption at rest adds an additional security to your LoginRadius cloud storage by encrypting the data when it's in the data store. Moving on to the trust center, this talks about compliances we follow, and we also can define the consent management from here. Under the security center, you can see the different data compliances LoginRadius adheres to. We have a dedicated security and privacy center where you can configure all your policies and your site like age verification, GDPR compliance, etc. Consent management is a feature which allows you to build custom consent forms. In addition to this feature makes it easy to modify existing consents prompted to your customers or apply new ones retroactively. Each consent you prompt can be enforced as either optional or strict depending on your workflow requirements. Now let's move on to the deployment section where you can configure all your sites and other related features. This section covers various implementation methods, data migration, and other features like progressive profiling. It basically includes the deployment of LoginRadius solution via well-known methodologies like JavaScript libraries, web-based SDKs, mobile SDKs, and turnkey plugins. Apps tab is the place where you can add all your production and staging sites. This allows you to test new configurations before applying them and going live with your production site. Under the mobile apps section, we can define all your mobile apps and also generate a static SOTT to be included with the mobile apps in order to authorize access to LoginRadius. In case of any custom domain that needs to be configured, we will have to configure these under the custom domain settings tab, which can be completely white labeled as per your requirements. Progressive profiling is a feature that automates the gradual gathering of data from your users. This feature, when enabled, your users can skip those long registration forms while providing the information you need at various stages of your customer lifecycle without decreasing the chance of a customer being turned away. We have built a ready-to-use solution called Identity Experience Framework or IDX, which helps to configure and customize your UI and UX elements as per your requirements. As part of this framework, we have two options. The first is the Identity Experience Framework Hosted, which is ready to use a web page available on a dedicated instance in LoginRadius. Here, you can customize your registration, login, and forgot password pages as per your branding guidelines. And the second is Identity Experience Framework Self-Hosted. This allows you to manage and customize the interfaces using in a built-in JavaScript template engine. By using the code snippets in your local implementation, you can design your content of buttons, language, and many more. If required, the additional implementation has to be done using JavaScript or APIs. Moving on to the JS widgets section. Here you can generate numerous JavaScript interfaces which can be embedded directly onto your web applications. JS widgets are categorized into 6 categories: settings, registration forms, login, forgot password, and other widgets. Under the libraries and plugins, you can find the software development kits or SDKs, mobile libraries, turnkey plugins, which can assist your IT team with integrating and simplifying the API calls in your native server-side application. If you want to completely build from the scratch, you are able to do so by using these packaged SDKs, which use familiar technologies such as REST APIs and OAuth 2.0 protocols. In case of any mobile platforms, you can leverage our mobile libraries for implementing our platform. If you are using any CMSs such as WordPress, Drupal, Shopify, and others, you can use our turnkey plugins where you can download and install it on your site. Under the configuration deployment section, you can clone or transfer your development or staging configurations to other sites. You can apply any configuration from source site to destination site by selecting the feature you want to clone. The last section under this would be data migration. This lets you perform mass import of customer profile data from one application or database into the LoginRadius database through the means of CSV files. Once a report is requested, LoginRadius will send you an email notification with a secure link to access the log file. You can also see the request history of the data migration and the download links for under this log section. Let's move on to the integration aspects of the platform. In addition to streamlining your authentication and login process, you can also leverage the API integration with third-party software to feed the data or sync the data. Under the configuration section, you can see the enabled list of integrations. This is where the integrations are set up. Under the data sync section, we can see webhooks, which allows you to build or set up integrations which subscribe to certain events on LoginRadius. When one of the subscribed events is triggered, LoginRadius will automatically send the HTTPS request to the configured URL in real time. Webhooks can be used to update an external tracker or update a backup miner. Under the Identity API Settings tab, you can see the threshold on the amount of calls you can make in a certain period of time on the Identity API. You can also request for increasing the API call limit from here. Moving on to the data export section, here you can customize and export customer profile reports on demand. The report will be sent to you over an email with a secure link to download the data extract in a requested CSV or a JSON format. In a similar way, you can schedule these on-demand reports daily, weekly, or monthly on a certain day. The export logs tabs will showcase all the request logs and the download links. From the data ETL service section, you can perform customer profile migrations operations into the LoginRadius database through the means of an CSV files. To request data operations, you can perform the following actions: request an import to the LoginRadius database, request an update on the existing imported data, request a new data deletion of the imported data from the LoginRadius database. From the data ETL logs tab, you can see the logs for the ETL requests and the corresponding download links. By this stage, configurations and integrations have been completed, and you have the identity of your customers in a centralized location, which allows you to run queries and export them as a report. Under the Search Customers tab, you can see the list of active customers registered and also manage them through various search parameters like name, user ID, mobile number, etc. By clicking on the Manage button, you can view the complete profile of that particular customer, including his activity, role assigned, and other personal and social information. From the screen itself, you can perform various tasks, including updating the verification status, blocking or deleting the profile. Under the Blocked Customers tab, you can view all the list of your blocked profiles. You can also view or add new customer manually from the screen itself. Moving on to the customer segmentation, here you can segment your users by applying some rules to generate segmented list of your registered customer profiles. This can be downloaded into a CSV or a JSON format and fed into your marketing platforms to make informed business decisions. The advanced segmentation section helps you to group filters and segment customers, which can again be downloaded into a CSV or a JSON format. You can also save these segment rules and apply them to your users to get on-the-go reports. Then comes the data query section. Here, you can directly query on your user database, which gives a more specific search base. In the same way, you can also query on any customer objects which have been created for you. Insight section gives you a quick glance into the identity of your customers and their login behavior. This contains useful charts and analytic tools to view and measure the overall performance of your site in terms of customer registration and login. The information is aggregated and categorized into identity analytics, provider analytics, login analytics, comparative analytics, and API analytics. The overview section will provide you with the key statistics of your LoginRadius site. Hover over any day on the calendar charts below to view the login volumes. Scroll down for some high-level statistics and signups and total number of active customers. Under the Identity Analytics section, we cover the user statistics, which contain stats related to customer accounts and profiles, as well as blocked customer profiles. Other statistics include customer growth, provider, customer location, customer age group, gender, browser, and the type of device used to register on your site. The Provider Analytics section gives you the complete information of the number of profiles or accounts created over the selected time period based on the country, the geolocation, age, gender, and the login provider. The login stats contains stats related to customer profile logins. The stat is based on the logins over the login distribution, specific time period, daily active customers, monthly active customers, customer return date, provider engagement, browser engagement, and device engagement. In the comparative analytics section, we can see the historical analysis, which provides the comparative charts of number of registrations for selected months. We can select different months, domains, and customer accounts or profiles, and also compare the number of customer registrations between selected months. The API Analytics tab represents the analytic reports for requests made to various types of APIs. The request count gives you a comparative chart of number of requests made to various types of APIs. You can also select different intervals to get the window data. The Response Code tab contains a comparative chart of the success and the error requests handled by our servers over a period of selected time intervals. And the last is Performance section, and this contains a comparative chart of the percentages of response time based on different APIs such as profile lookup APIs, authentication APIs, profile creation APIs, deletion APIs, and update APIs over a period out of selected time interval. One of the unique features of our platform is that we have built-in support features in the console itself. You can access our support and API docs right from the console, which gives a detailed explanation of each and every feature sets of the platform. In case of any technical support needed, we have two modes where you can get in touch with our technical support team. One would be through a support ticket, where you can create a ticket and assign the priority along with a description about the nature of the issue. The other is through a live chat, where you can directly ask our support team the question you have on the go. However, if your request is more technical in nature, we encourage you to submit a support ticket. Moving on to the final section, that is managing your account. Under this drop-down, you can manage your account, see the login sessions, and also set an extra security step using the Google Authenticator or SMS. Under the Appearance tab, you can customize the dashboard themes as per your need. You can also manage your internal users under the Team Management tab and also customize their access permission and their level of access to the LoginRadius Admin Console under the single sign-on screen. You can also view the audit logs right from the screen itself. You can view all the subscription details and the invoices from the billing screen. Under your site section, you can view the list of sites shared with you as well. So to conclude, the LoginRadius platform is deployed on a highly secure, robust, and scalable infrastructure supported by a growing network of data centers across the globe. We are continuously investing in the latest infrastructure technologies with a focus on high reliability, operational excellence, cost effectiveness, and a trusted online user experience for our clients and partners worldwide. Please make sure to check out our website www.loginradius.com for more details. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to hearing from you.